the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Peter Somerville, Town Councilman.
Ed Denarkin, Town Councilman. John Dolce, Town Supervisor.
Bill Ryan, Town Attorney.
Randy Bates, Town Councilman.
Ryan Wood, Town Councilman.
Victoria Craig for town clerk.
Okay, any audience comments? If not, I want to move on to the minutes of,
I'll move that we accept the minutes of the March 28th regular meeting.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay. There are, Carol, are there any budget modifications or transfers?
No.
And correspondence? No. The library report?
You skipped over vouchers.
and bills. Oh,
I'll make a motion, we pay all vouchers and bills.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Library report? None? Supervisor's report is very little. I want to just, want to update on a citizen that asked about using our van, and after contacting the attorney, I did call her and deny that use of the van, because it'll set a precedence. It is a gift of public funds, and the insurance that she would have to, that person would have to acquire would be cost prohibitive. So that, that was that. I did get further on the QHA, I did read, I did get that from Rosie QHA, and just reviewed that on the 19th. Well, so I asked Bill, which I'll share with everyone unless he did, is what the procedures are to give Tim Lippert guidance on what an unsafe building, what's the process to pursue these things. So it's black and white, and we're gonna hold them to it to get it accomplished. So it's not only the unsafe buildings, it was the storage containers, which is a law, and one other thing, Bill,
Dangerous building.
dangerous and unsafe. And code violation. So that's about all I have.
I did have, is it when you were talking about the definition that Bill wrote, or the procedures that Bill wrote? So on the unsafe section of it, I don't have a copy over here. Do you go, the notice section, you notify someone, it said you had to post a notice on the building. Now, do you go through, you got the procedures for a zoning violation or a code violation
Right.
on top, and then you had the procedures for the unsafe. Do you go through all the procedures for the zoning violation first? Like, because one was certified mail with return, but I didn't see that in the unsafe part.
So there are two different approaches, Pete. The first one in the memo deals with what happens under your zoning code. And the second situation that I have written there, and this is part of my report, it deals with, there's the New York State Building Code, And there's a chapter in there for unsafe / dangerous buildings. And, again, it really mirrors what Brian read earlier, that, you know, there has to be a lack of structure. It's gotta be falling down, and, you know, something's really unsafe when you see it. It has those characteristics. So, and under the New York State Building Code, what happens is you have to give the landowner, a lot of notice. And, part of the remedy is for a municipality, and I've just done this in another municipality, where you have to send the owner a certified letter that says, under this section of the New York State Building Code, your house is deemed dangerous, or your structure is. You have a certain amount of time to respond to us. And then, if there's no response, you have to send another notice. And with that other notice, the town needs to hire an architect or an engineer to make a report, and this gets to Brian's point, where we're not gonna be arbitrary or capricious about making designations of unsafe. Then the engineer or the architect comes back and writes a report and opines whether or not the building is unsafe or dangerous. 100% of the time it is, because you know when something's dilapidated and falling apart. So then you send the report to the property owner, and then they have a certain amount of time to respond. And if 9 times out of 10 they don't respond, and then lack of response, then you can bring an action in Supreme Court, Albany County, to have the building demolished, and the cost associated with doing all of that, you reduce to a judgment. And it's going to be, assuming the court grants the award and the judgment, then that will become a judgment against the real property. And when that happens, according to CPLR now, you get 9% interest, and you can undertake measures to enforce that. So there's a lot of due process involved here, and you're not going to be acting arbitrarily and capriciously throughout this whole exercise. And the judgment would include all the town's costs, the engineer, the architect, attorney's fees, that all gets grouped into it. And then you have your order demolishing the structure. And you know, that's the way to go, because if you do it that way under the New York State Code, you get rid of an unsightly building. And if you're operating under a court order, then I don't want to say you're completely insulated from any retribution or further action by the property owner, but you're on safe ground.
Help me with this one, and I did Andrew about this, but this was kind of my concern about the dog with teeth and no bite, or bark and no bite, is, so I own the property next to me. I don't really, but I do, right? That house is gonna fall down because the bank wants $100,000 for their house, it's now worth 40. So say there's an owner, say I own that, and it starts to fall, the roof starts to cave in from, so the town comes in and says you have unsafe building, and they go through that process, right? Now they get an order from the Supreme Court that the town is authorized to tear it down. His. So the town comes in, we hire a contractor, they tear it down, and you take that whole envelope of cost, and then you put it as a judgment against my property. Now, I am absolutely probably one of the most spiteful people you'll ever meet in your life. I just decide I'm gonna let that property sit for the rest of my life. The town's out the money. There's no way to get that money, correct? If I wanna hang on that till I die.
Well, no, if the judgment will be against the property owner and will be against the property and the property owner, and there are ways under the CPLR to enforce that judgment. And one of the ways is you could sell the property and have an auction. That's one way, or
We
two,
could force them.
that's exactly correct.
Okay.
You can force a sale, a referee would be appointed, and you would have an auction at the Albany County Courthouse or at the property. Another way is to restrain bank accounts.
Okay.
And wages, so there's ways to get the money.
I just was concerned because like even when I bought property across the street from my house from the land bank, I negotiated to my benefit greatly, all the back taxes and the
Yeah.
liens that were against it, and they got rid of them because they wanted to get the property back on the tax roll. And I'm just concerned, like at some point, if somebody has those liens, if it ended up back in the land bank or something, they could negotiate them away. And what I don't wanna do is tear a building down with a $20,000 bill and then the town be old, hanging on the bill, you know?
No, what you need to do in that situation, though, you need to be aggressive,
Yeah.
and you need to go after it.
So to add to that,
Well, as long as you can, that's good, because that means we have a bite then. I just was
That's right.
afraid that we were gonna be in a position where we're just left holding this bag with no way to recover the money that we did to enforce laws.
There is a bite with the bark.
Okay, that's all I,
so
what we have.
I have a question. Now, the fee schedule, $1,000. That's gonna have somebody act. How do we get that $1,000?
Well, if, you know, you're asking me to be somewhat clairvoyant and also to render an opinion based upon factual, a nebulous factual situation. So assuming, just for the sake of my answer here, that the building is dangerous and it is crumbling to the ground, then you would follow your zoning ordinance, frankly, and if you would have some type of a adjudicatory trial, and again, that would be a fine that could be reduced to a judgment. And if you follow the New York State Building Code, that $1,000 could be added to whatever is accumulated doing it the other way.
But if you find someone, if they know that we want to do something about this,
Mhm.
and you find them $1,000, or whatever it comes out to, if it's $1,000, we don't really want $1,000. We just want people to act on doing something.
Mhm.
Well, I think that that's part of my point, is you gotta reserve $1,000 for something that we really, I mean, for something that's dangerous, then we should be issuing people this fine of $1,000 for structures that we know are a danger to our public, that if they don't fix it, we're gonna go through this process. We shouldn't just use it as a threatening gesture to get somebody to clean up their place. Like, people are gonna either wanna clean up their places or not. And if we issue this, it has to be, we're loading up the bus, getting ready to go on the trip, right? We can't just be like, let's slap him with $1,000 and hopefully he'll clean it up. And then if he doesn't, well, then we won't worry about it. Or we'll do it again, or then we'll do it 3 times, and now we're in for $3,000 over 18 months. And if we do nothing after that, then it ruins the integrity of the whole concept. So like, we have to be willing to start the process if we're willing to write that violation.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the $1,000 in here, it's well-intentioned, but your best way is to do what I suggested about following the New York State Building Code and just going after the person, because in 9 times out of 10, these blighted and decrepit and dilapidated buildings are like crumbling, and they have grass and they're overgrown, and it's just a danger to health. And so that's the way to go. I mean, the $1,000 to get the attention when you send a certified letter and say, this has got to.
What looks like once it's deemed dangerous and unsafe, that's when it comes to the town board.
Well, yeah, the engineer is gonna bring a report to you, and you, as a body, are gonna deliberate about, are we gonna take the next steps here?
So on the town level, for the town justice, the only enforcement is administering the fine. You can't compel the landowner to do anything.
Correct. And the fine is if it arises out of a situation where, your building inspector files a complaint against the property owner. I mean, that's all well and good, but I think the better approach is to do what I suggested. I mean, and just from our own experience, we had a situation in another town where, this, gas station was abandoned. And it was falling apart, it was crumbling, it had mortar for the walls, it was crumbling, there were issues with underground storage tanks. We got that all resolved, did the report, and we had a trial, and we won, and we got a judgment against the property owner, and now we're enforcing it. That's the way to do it, and also because of that, there were arrears in the taxes, and it was in foreclosure, in rem foreclosure, so the county took over the property, then conveyed it to the town, and now we're making a park out of it. But that's the type of forward thinking you have to do here. I hope I answered your question.
I'm good. I understand that.
So there's no account report, right?
I move we accept the supervisory report.
No, it's not.
Oh, report?
Yeah. Are you done with your report?
Yeah, you done.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No accountant's report, the attorney's report.
I just gave it.
I move we accept the attorney report.
Well, there's one other thing that I need to talk to you about. We had a call today, virtual meeting with the Attorney General on the Bogue matter. And we're almost there in terms of the language with the Cypre petition. And there's another meeting scheduled next week, and I think, based upon what I heard today, it's gonna be over. And then we'll be all set up and ready to go. And he actually, oddly enough, he was, we told him what you had done, formed the committee with the citizens, and they're making suggestions or recommendations to the town. And they were quite laudatory with the efforts that you've undertaken. And he didn't seem to have a problem with the interest that you wanted to take off every year and distribute to the community based upon what you receive. So it was all positive.
Good, so therefore, in 2 weeks, we should be able to bring some tents and moonshine, and we can all take a shot. He says it's all good. We never have to hear it again, except oh, we're distributing on ocean breath.
Okay,
Oh, highway department.
I move we accept the attorney report.
all in favor?
Aye.
Highway,
Start off with recycling report, you have a copy of that, nothing exciting to report there. Second thing I want to bring up is the highway agreement for 2024. Everybody has a copy of that.
that was road, you want to go?
First page shows where the funding sources are from, and then the agreement starts on the second page. So this is assumed that the New York State budget funding for TIPS, Pave New York, Extreme Winter Recovery, and Pave Our Pothole stays at the same as last year. The New York State budget is not passed at the moment. That is assumed. The roads I have chosen to do work on this year include the lower section of Travis Hill Road, which is from Route 145 to Pearson Road. That would be a 2-inch overlay of type 6 asphalt. Gerard Road from County Route 351 to Niles Road, County Route 352 to Niles Road. Rowell Lane, which is just a 1-lane road that comes up out of Medusa over to Camp Medusa, or 200 feet long. South Street in Medusa. It's also just a short little road. We're trying to put roads together where we don't have to mobilize the paver, as, you know, we can travel from one road to the next. Bryan Road, and I actually spoke with, the town of Bethlehem. I think they're interested in paving, Bryan Road and Lake Road for us as a mutual thing. We're gonna do some trucking with them, so we may be able to reduce those costs. These costs are estimated with our private contractor, we may be able to reduce those costs. Jonesville Road, which is off of, just a short little road off of Travis Hill. We would do that all at the same time. Lake Road, which is up near Crystal Lake. And then Arnold Road would be a single chip seal with a fog seal, just as a, preserve the pavement that's there. It's in pretty good condition, but beginning to crack apart. Camp Winnisoxi Road is a road we put 4 to 5 inches of ground millings on last year and fog seal that held the winter really, really well. So we'd like to move forward and double chip seal that, and that'll get a hard surface on that road. And then a few of the dirt roads we're gonna do some work on, Tortor Lane, we have intentions of putting 4 inches of crusher on the entire length of that road. Fleming Road, we're gonna put 4 inches of shale and then skim some pressure on over top of that, on that road. Stedman Road, we'll be putting 4 inches of pressure on the entire length of that road. And then, this is kind of an alternative road, probably should have put on an alternative page, but if we can get, all these other projects accomplished within a reasonable amount of funding, Pucker Street, the first 1 mile of Pucker Street, I'd like to put 4 inches of ground millings on that road as well. That's a really hard road, has a good crusher run base on it, and then we would move forward with next year if it holds the winter well, putting a double chip seal on it. There's quite a lot of traffic on that first section of Pucker Street and a fair number of houses, and it's also, it seems to be a maintenance, issue. We're filling potholes on the road continuously. And then I would like to use $20,000 to do some crack sealing on some roads that were done here 5-6 years ago, which would include Fleming Road, McCullough Cross Road, and Camp Medusa Road. They're in really good condition, got some minor cracking to them, so I'd like to get them sealed up and try to preserve them as long as we can. I don't know if there's any questions on any of that, or
In Jonesville Road, any way that there would be an opportunity to make it bigger to turn a truck around in that?
the end is terrible
I
turnaround.
know we were discussing it with your guys at a fire call that was at the end.
Yeah.
We ended up having to back our trucks all the way out because we couldn't get it turned around anywhere.
And we go down there with a small truck.
That's what it said.
It's,
It's just bad.
I don't know, it takes some enormous amount of fill to make that.
Yeah, because it's so steep off on
Drop
one
off
side.
like a rock.
Yeah.
With a large plow, we used to back out. It's just
No way.
Safe.
But it's fine.
No, plus you're going up that steep driveway, and if you slide backwards.
Been in the
you're
fire
right.
department for 35 years and been down it twice, so it's not a big deal.
All right, and then I did put together a bid for the parking lot, as you guys had requested. Obviously, would not be binding, but this would give us, some true costs. We can make a decision after that. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that yet or not.
I did, the only question I had would be finance-wise, which we don't need to do right now, but 120 days, is that enough time to secure a bond if we decided to bond it? Does anybody know that answer? How long does it take to get a bond?
So payment actually is within 30 days.
It says the price,
Shall remain firm for 120 days and shall be paid within 30 days after.
so that would be 150 days we really have to get. Like, my point being is if that comes back, we could start securing the money and then say, okay, do it, because we have 3 months essentially.
I don't see, I mean, it's up to John, but I don't see why it would have to be bonded. I mean, there's an awful lot of money in the general reserve fund, isn't there?
Well, I guess,
Depending how much is,
Truthfully, I think this is gonna come in between $60,000 and $70,000. So that's my truthful.
okay, well, that's fine. I just wanted to know, like, I always trust John and Brian, like, but sometimes I feel like we keep having projects where we
Yeah.
buy stuff and then it's like, I just don't want to run.
I did make one error in this too, and I've made an adjustment. But in section number 3, where it says 2 inches of binder and then 1 inch of type, I would go with type 6, I think, rather than type 7.
Okay.
And the way it reads is that they have, that the price they submit, they would remain firm for 120 days.
Right.
I would attempt to have the parking lot prepped by July 1, and 30 days to make payment.
But you see what I'm saying, 120 days, so if we get it back and from the time we open the bids.
Yeah.
If we decided that we wanted to do a bond, we would have 120 days plus 30 to make sure we had time to secure the bond and pay it. And like you could say, okay, do it then, toward the end of the 120 days.
I see, to hold off to make sure that we have funding in
Yeah.
place.
But I mean, look, if we have the money, we have the money. I just, we talked about doing.
I don't
things
think,
like the highway
I don't think we should
garage.
be doing it if we don't have the money, that's my personal opinion on it.
Well, I think that you're true. I think that we have a good highway complex here. I think that it is not a terrible thing to have done.
Yeah, and this section of road in front of the transfer station takes a fair amount of, we have our trucks that are rolling through there all winter long, the
I guess my point would
fuel
be like,
trucks, highway trucks.
at the end of the day, if you bonded $100,000 for 5 years, you pay back $20,000 a year, 20,000 plus interest a little bit. We're not taking $100,000 in when we have a truck breakdown or something.
We're tight on cash.
We're more tight on cash, for something little like that, that bond's not gonna be a lot, we can plan it out, budget it out for 5 years. It's just, and if they say, because I trust Brian.
But John has a better understanding of the
Yeah.
finances on the general fund side than I do, so. But anyway, if the board's okay with this, we can make the motion to send this out to bid, and then, do you and the prices come back, and we decide from
To
there?
do all his motions now or wait till new business?
I
Can we do it now, right? We
I
can
would
do
just
it.
do it now.
And then I can leave, that'd be wonderful.
I'll make a motion that, we allow, or we put out the bid, solicitations for bids for blacktopping of the parking lot recycling center in Highway Department.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
And I'll make sure this gets forwarded to all the people we deal with and any, some of the other driveway people as well, so we have
Do we have to do a motion for the?
We do need a motion.
Yes.
a 284 agreement as well.
So I'll make a motion that, we authorize the, town highway superintendent, and the town supervisor to submit the 2024 permanent road improvement funding, to the state.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hopefully, Holden will get there.
All right, then just a couple other, small things, I sent you guys an email, but there's another big pile of tires on the end of Bates Hollow Road. There's probably 20, 25 of them in that range, so we already picked up 25, 30 of them. I have no problem picking them up, I just didn't know if you guys wanted to investigate it all, or have Tim deal with it before we go and pick them up. I just don't want it to become, every time we go out there, that's where the tires get dumped, and we're picking them up.
Brian, I'm gonna ask you this question. Whenever we have situations like that, shouldn't we get the state police involved?
I would do a state police, I actually would call NCON, they're the ones that deal with illegal dumping, call NCON police and say, could you please come out, we have an illegal dumping case. Those guys, they take that a little more serious than local law enforcement or state police, because that's kind of their forte. So they might do a little investigation into it and go around. I mean, local police are so understaffed and overworked that they're gonna prioritize that somewhere right underneath, going home at the end of the shift. So, yeah, so I think that the best, and we should do it every time, because it'll establish a pattern, might prompt them to, put a little more patrols. But sadly, at the end of the day, it's a hard thing, because we charge for people to get rid of it, they don't wanna pay for it. And so they're gonna,
All right.
but I think we should, I don't, having Tim look at it, or John, or anybody's probably,
All right, so I'll take a picture of it, and we'll pick them up. before
I'll
we pick
get
them
you
up.
a contact for
Yeah.
the two local.
Just always just put a report in, and then it's.
Yeah.
done.
No, I think we should, absolutely, because,
I mean, it's an issue around town. We do have tires get dropped off on the road. There's a pile of them up there. It's been thrown over the bank, so. I think that's really imperative that we try to keep the tire prices at the transfer station as low as possible, so at least.
Well, we're paying $5.
We're paying, we're
charging
offsetting
$3.
it now, right, so our cost to get rid of a car tire is $5, we're charging $3, so we're subsidizing the cost of it now. But I think that's better than picking them up off the side of the road, because then we're paying all of it.
they take it to work.
Alrighty, and then, the last note, hopefully it's done snowing, we began taking things and plows off, our trucks, we do have one still set up, and, we've been hauling shale. Quarry's supposed to be open hopefully Monday, we'll be hauling pressure run and getting going, so.
We need to make a motion to authorize the, for an employee.
Advertising.
Oh, yes,
So I'll move that we authorize, for a town highway department position.
When you say advertise, you mean in the paper?
well, I think we should put it out in board, but I think we probably legally should advertise it somewhere, don't you?
Yeah. Paper, Indeed.
I'll second
I
that.
do have some interest in the position from two separate individuals, so
Okay. Excellent.
hopefully we'll explore that, see how it goes, and both of them do have Class B license. Actually, one has a Class A, so we'll see how that turns out. I know last time the hiring pool was pretty minimal.
I would put it on the sign out front.
Absolutely. So I want to give it,
Facebook,
I'd like to advertise it, I'd like to put it out on the sign out front, and give it about a month or so, and then conduct some interviews. and
Yeah.
see what
did
we
you
got.
lose one?
Just, we have one employee, Pat Smith, his last day will be next Friday, he's going to the New York State Thruway.
So I don't think we really need to advertise in the newspaper.
Legally, do we, Bill, have to advertise the position?
Public service position.
Yeah, but I'll-
Yeah, I think you're better off doing that. Do it in the public, in the newspaper and on social media platforms.
Okay. I mean, because I truthfully, putting the ad in the Altamont Enterprise is probably not gonna generate any, I thought from a legal standpoint we had to. If you think we can get away with just doing it on our social media platform or our site.
No, I think you have to do it in the newspaper.
Okay, then we'll submit it in the newspaper as well.
So when?
So we've heard many times, without advertising or posting
Yeah.
or anything. Word of mouth, you know?
You can advertise whatever you want, sooner the better.
Well, we have to advertise, that's the question.
Yeah.
That's the question, legally, we have to
Yes.
advertise.
And to post the position.
Okay, very good.
There's a motion in the second.
Okay, there's a motion to authorize that. Who made the motion?
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Town clerk report.
Motion for the highway report in general.
I make a motion to accept the highway report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
Aye. That motion's carried.
There's a lot of motions there, you're gonna forgot.
I'm behind the eight ball today, so. All right, town clerk.
Okay, everybody has the numbers, for March. No news to report in our department. I'm giving the tax payments a few more days to come in, via mail, because they were still we can still legally accept payments if they were postmarked on April 1st. So just giving that a few more days, for anything that's out there lingering, any bounced checks that may be coming through. We had two just yesterday come back from the bank. So I project that next Monday, we should be able to wrap everything up and call that finished. for
The bounce checks, you
24.
charge $35.
We don't,
Why is that?
it's not on our fee
The
schedule.
bank, huh?
It's not on our fee schedule. We don't typically. There's not a lot of them, and I had
But
two
why should
others,
the
and
town eat that cost?
we don't, they don't charge us. The bank does not charge us,
For bounce checks?
correct.
No, look into it. I trust you.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna look into Ron Rogan, Crystal Bear.
He wants to, not that he doesn't trust you, he just wants to give more money, so you can see it. The voucher check's $1,000.
And, so that's all I have for now.
I'll make a motion, we accept the town clerk report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Code enforcement, building inspector.
That guy.
The numbers are $860 in permits for the building department. I did file the annual report for 2023. That's complete. Johnny, to stop getting emails from the Department of State. That's done. We've got the fee schedule for safe buildings, as you guys are aware of. So I think you're gonna pick up fee schedule tonight. That's that later on.
Been discussed.
You there?
Right to death.
Yeah, I'll say.
I have a question about the Cheese Hill Road accessory building. There's 2 new homes going up on Cheese Hill, right?
Yeah, they were permitted last year.
No, this is not one of them as an accessory building. Or is it on that property?
No. This is a permit, so this is paperwork that came in, nothing's happened under yet. At that site.
What is it, that's what I meant, is it for that site?
No.
The 2 new, okay.
Nope, it's a different guy, further up the hill, 359.
Okay.
He's gonna put a shed on his property.
What else? Tim?
Well, yeah.
So now we got the fee schedule. And we got the outline of what to do
Okay.
from the attorney. So we're gonna want to move forward with dangerous or unsafe buildings,
Okay.
not buildings that are blighted. We didn't sit on that conversation. It's dangerous or unsafe.
And I think,
Dilapidated too.
yeah, and I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, like we talked about, like, we probably shouldn't be issuing the fines of $1,000. We should be going through the state
Building code.
building code and going after them to just do something with it, or we're tearing it down.
Yes, that is correct.
So,
Help me out with what you just said.
It's all in the memo and I can walk
Okay,
you
that's
through
in
it.
here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
As far as their definitions go and their path forward,
and your bite.
Yeah, and yes, correct.
okay.
okay. So the fee schedule, $1,000, we're not going to do that?
That takes you down a different direction. That would leave you in a position where you have no bite with your bark. Where Bill was saying, if you follow the state building code and you go that direction, there's already case law and how that's handled, where you go to the Supreme Court and you have the engineer that stuff.
Right,
That
that's,
doesn't, the $1,000 is not gonna accomplish anything. We have to go to them and issue them the notices and then the next notice, and then the engineer thing that he was talking about.
But could you
I thought,
not do both?
No, you could, absolutely.
You know,
that,
to
that's
your
my
point,
point.
you're looking at $1,000 as being incentive for somebody
To
to
do it.
comply. And if they don't, ultimately, then we'll have to go the other route through court.
That's what my understanding was earlier.
Oh.
So that, I just want to,
Okay, you can do both.
That's the way to go, though. I agree with him. It's an,
Incentive.
even if only 3 out of 10 people comply because of the $1,000 fine.
Right, I guess my question back was if we do it to one and then we don't follow it up with the state building code and go that route, then what would be incentive for anybody else to pay it? Because eventually,
But it doesn't mean that we wouldn't.
Yeah, we'll follow it up.
right, no, that's what I'm saying, we have to follow it.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do it, we have to be prepared to go all the way.
okay. So my thing is that, yes, we're gonna fine them $1,000, and if they come in for a building permit, naturally, we're gonna take that away.
Okay.
Or the court, once you find them. And they come in with a building permit and say, hey, you
It's one or the other. It's a valid building permit with plans to actually fix your building, or $1,000 while you're doing nothing.
and if they don't do it, then I'd rather do both. That was the point.
Which is in the memo.
That's in the memo? That's what I wanted. I got the memo late today. I didn't really read it yet. Thank you.
Okay?
I'll make a motion, we accept the code enforcement officer's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. The assessor, let me do the assessor first. This is his written report. For the month of March, he had 8 transfers, 3 residential, 3 for estate planning, and 2 vacants. We have processed quite a few applicants that now qualify the senior age exemption. Since this year, in 2023, there were 50 exemptions, senior exemptions. This year, we have 84, which is a 62% increase. I've calculated the impact this will have on the 2025 county tax rates by using a 24 budget. The county rate will be 5 cents higher per thousand. The town's tax will increase 9 cents per thousand. I have received the eligible list from each of the fire departments and members' applications. These qualifiers will receive 10% exemption based on their residence total assessment. These will be applied to county, town, and school taxes. Firemen will first see the exemption on their September 2024 school tax bill. I will have the impact for the fireman exemption in my May report. The state just created a new code for us to enter them. This month, I'll be finishing the rest of the open building permits. Tim, so when you close it, what does he mean by that?
That means that we've inspected it and it's finished, the project is done. Or it's not done and it's 50%, 75% done.
Okay. So that's where he'll be assessing these projects. That's what you mean by the open building permit.
Anybody with an open building permit gets completed or a percentage of complete assessment. But that's Peter, not me.
Okay, the 24 tentative assessment roll will be available for viewing in the town clerk's office on May 1, 2024. Grievance day will be held on Tuesday, May 28, 2024, from 4 to 8. Yours truly, Peter Holkett.
Just have one thing on that. So in the one where it says I received the eligible list from the volunteer fire departments for the member applications for the 10% tax exemption.
Yep.
So I would like for that to be the end of my involvement in that. I worked with all 3 of them to make sure that their lists were accurate and that there was no fluff in them. But going forward, I'm not gonna be the accountability police that's on there, because it puts me in a tough situation being an officer and a firefighter if I'm like the attendance police. Okay, so if somebody has questions with it, then we have to go at it as the whole board and have to come and do that. Now, Brian's not gonna go there and be like, you gotta prove that this person met their 50 points. So that's the only thing I have.
So
Well,
we should get a list of who's
every
exempted.
year they should do it by March 1st. And they have to by law. We have to submit one every year, March 1st, to give them who is eligible. Right? So if you guys want to see that, then you ask Peter
I'm
to
going to.
ask him to give it to you. But if you want to debate that list, then that's kind of up to you, right? Or if we have to do it as a board, I'll do it as a board. But I'm not going to go there myself and be like, I know this person wasn't at these fires and I was and all this other stuff, because that's gonna.
And who we holding accountable? The fire chiefs, correct?
Well, I think more or less the fire department. I mean, the chief should be the one that's accountable for like fire attendants and drill attendants, but then, you know, technically it should be the executive boards of those fire departments that are there for, you know, people that are in elected offices, people that are at meetings and those types of things. It's pretty clear on how you do it. It's not hard to get 50 points, so I would be cautious. When I started questioning people who I did not see at fire calls, understand that if you're an elected officer and we don't have the authority to tell them how many elected officers they can or can't have. So if you're an elected officer, you get 25 points right off the bat. And there are some departments who have a lot of officers. And then you only have to go to 10% of the fire calls. So we do 60 a year, you only gotta come to 6 fire calls, that gives you 25, there's your 50 points. You don't have to come to a meeting, a drill, or anything, 6 fire calls, and be like the board of directors from the fire department, and you're in. So, just when you see somebody, like, that was a learning curve for me, because I'd be like, that person hasn't been to a fire since I've been in the fire department, but they're in an elected office position, like a civil position, and they do all their fundraisers, they hit it no problem.
So, so who puts the new name on the list?
The fire department, I mean, whoever it comes from, it may come from the chief, may come from the president, one or the other. But they have to have attendance record, so if you want to challenge it, then you can ask them, like, show me your attendance records from the last. It was crystal clear that we had to kind of go back on memory for this first year, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it until like 2026. So we kind of said, do your best this year, but for next year, like, we record every single thing we do, so you'll have attendance records.
50 points is not,
No, it's not a lot.
it's not a lot, so it's something that can be fairly easily achieved.
Oh, yeah, sometimes I think that
We're not
people,
setting the bar so high that
yeah,
most.
but
fire-
sometimes I think that my point to that is, sometimes we'll be like, that person's not around the firehouse a lot. You don't have to be around the firehouse a lot if you're like a board of director or you're the ladies auxiliary president, and then you're good
It's basically up to the chief in each department.
to track. Well, it's the department itself, I mean, they're all corporations, they're board of direct, they're executive board, it's up to them to submit a thing. And if you want to challenge it, you can challenge it, and then we have the right to, investigate it if we want to. I don't suspect that's gonna be a problem. I think everybody, after I explained it to them, they got a lot of pushback. The departments themselves got a lot of pushback from people who thought that they should be on there, or who were active in the past and wanted to come back. It was clear in our law, you have to be a current member, uninterrupted service. You can't just come back now and be all of a sudden a lifetime member.
Okay.
All right. Ed's gonna get tired.
I move we accept the assessor's report.
I'll second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's go, Water Sewer Committee report.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Brian. I can't sit for more than 30 minutes anyway, so it's good to stand. You should have tonight's report in front of you. I'm happy to say that we've got our contractor, Andre Nadeau, set up to do 3, maybe 4 hydrant replacements this spring. We've got about just under 30,000 in the hydrant fund, so we can easily make that happen because he estimated approximately 5,000 per new hydrant that's installed, purchased and installed. So we're moving ahead with that. We just have to nail them down for a date. And we'll have to go to issuing a notice, Vicki, because there'll be an interruption in service. There'll be things that have to be dealt with. So when that happens, we'll give them adequate notification. Storage tank inspection and maybe a cleaning, although I don't think it's necessary. We finally got it done. How long have we been talking about that? We got the report back. Surprisingly, that 80-year-old tank is in really good shape, maybe because it's concrete. All the tanks these days are out of metal and require more maintenance and upkeep. There's very little sediment found at the bottom of the tank, mostly by the hatch and where a decrepit or unsafe ladder is. It actually couldn't be used if you needed to climb down there.
How did they get in there?
I'm sorry?
How did they get in there?
They actually use a remote device. It's like a little submarine with a camera.
Okay.
And the report, if I didn't share it with you, I certainly can, but it's pages and pages of underwater photographs as well as the official report And there's no recommendation for cleaning it, although I'm still gonna ask them if they felt it was necessary at all, but this puts our minds at rest, at least for the tank being the potential cause of, why we keep having quality issues in the water. It's not the tank. Next topic is the water treatment plant district improvement project. CT Mail is continuing, project work is in progress. They're doing a fine job. They expect to deliver a schedule to us by the end of this week, perhaps. That's only tomorrow, so maybe not, maybe early next week. In terms of what the remaining deliverables are and when we can expect them to have them happen. One of the-
Let me just, so we have the report for the water tank, but I don't have the invoice. Did he send you a separate invoice, an invoice?
He didn't, what you signed a month ago is in fact the contract. So you're not gonna get we're not gonna get an invoice, it's payment. When you sign a contract, that's in fact the invoice.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I was gonna tell him I'm gonna invoice. I'm just kidding.
Okay. No,
Well,
I
he's
think
gonna have to
the
submit a voucher.
signature on the contract makes,
Right, but usually they send an invoice saying the job was completed.
Yeah, I sort of felt.
well, the report is the deliverable, right? So that's the ultimate, that's proof that they did their work.
Yeah, but they'll have to send a voucher when they want payment, because we have a voucher system. Just do it.
Yeah, they've got to send a
I'm not worried about it,
bill
though.
sometime. They will, I think.
Okay,
I'll reach out to them. Don't you worry about it.
okay. That'll be interesting, because one of the next things on my agenda is another contract I'll be asking you for. In any case, one of the things I want to bring up about CT Now's deliverables is a presentation to whomever, and this is what I want to talk about, I want to get clarification. They originally said to the town board on their report, right, what we're paying them for. This sort of brings me to the question of, is it just the town board? Frankly, it should be the community that has the right to hear this presentation, right? Because it'll be
Certainly the water district.
it'll be the water district that is in fact paying for it. So those citizens that are interested can attend the meeting. Now, the question is, do we hold a special meeting here? Because this is not going to be a short meeting. It's not going to be a 10-minute presentation. This is not something we could do on a typical general meeting. Or we could hold it at Conklin Hall and invite the town board, those of you that can come. We could do it that way. And you don't even need to answer me right now because I don't have a date for that. This is going to be early May that this would take place.
It's 2 weeks.
Should do it
Yeah, it's not
later,
that
man.
far away, so.
Should do it the third week of May.
I think I'm busy.
Yeah. No, and in fact, they've asked specifically to make the presentation early May.
I don't think it matters, right? If it's in Conklin Hall and we won't choose to attend as citizens, we can, just for knowledge. If we can't conduct business, because if we're gonna conduct business or ask questions on behalf of the town, there's more than 3 of us there, then we'd have to make a special meeting and have it here.
No, 3 or more,
3 or more, right? What did I say?
more than 3.
Oh, 3 or more. So if there's 3 or more of us, and we were gonna talk about the business or business of the town, then we would have to make it a public meeting.
Right.
So, but
Which-
if we all sat separate from each other and didn't talk about town business, then you could probably do it at Conklin Hall, we would just sit there and. Who signed up
Is
for
that
that?
true?
I,
Or would you call it?
Edwin's been doing a thorough job here. I think such a magnitude of importance that I think you should, notice a special meeting and have it there and listen to what CT-Mail has to say. I mean, you don't have to entertain questions at a at a special meeting. You can just hear people, your citizens' voice of comment. But I think this needs to be disseminated publicly, and I think you should be there.
You meaning John Dolce?
The board.
So,
Or if you don't want to go, then you just
No.
got to make sure that there's less than 3.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem.
I don't, I think we should not force it.
Yeah, I'll
We
be
should
there.
be informed.
You have to know when, Ed.
How are you gonna pick the date?
I've asked for some specific date requests from them so that we can actually talk about it.
We need to have probably 10 days, right, about, to get a public hearing.
No, for a special meeting.
Now, are we talking about a special meeting here? Is that?
No, I thought you were going to have the special meeting at Conklin Hall.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Notice goes in the paper on
I've never
Thursday.
been in there.
And how long do you have? 5 days? So,
Check
I
is
said I
going
would never go.
5 days.
5 days.
you
That's
need
what I
5
said.
days?
Yep.
Well, you gotta have it in by Thursday, and then it can be.
Oh, to get it in the paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So when you know, let Vicky know.
okay, immediately.
Yeah.
I will.
And Vicky can let me know.
Okay.
It's a matter, John, you're stressed.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure when I'm not gonna be here.
We'll cover it.
Dates,
We got your back.
what dates I'm not gonna be here.
I believe it's Tuesday the 30th.
Just take your phone, we'll FaceTime.
The following Tuesday.
I'm not sure about that.
Oh, how about we do it this way? How about you give the dates to Vicky?
Yep.
And then when Ed finds out dates, she'll be able to at least surf through those dates and maybe pick one where you are.
Yeah, Vicky and I can coordinate. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that'll be fine.
No sense you or Ed doesn't even know when the dates are.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, great, thank you.
So can we just try to
I'll
pick a
be
date
there.
that John's here? 'Cause
Deputy supervisor will take your slots. Don't make me-
Okay, the next bullet under the same heading, we have met with all the agencies that are, this federal money is flowing down through. And they have all indicated that the town, because that's where their census is taken from, a 12147 zip code, has a higher median household income than the grant would typically allow, which that would mean putting us into a category of loans. So I'm not anxious to start on that path until we've completely exhausted every possibility of getting grant money first. And so, although there's the opinion that many of the homeowners in the water district are above median household income, we believe, and we've been encouraged to do an income survey specifically of the people who are in the water district. Because then we can get an absolute accurate picture and, I believe, increase our chances of getting grant funding rather than deny. There's a scoring system when you do the applications, and I've talked about the need to get on this New York State IUP in June 14th, before June 14th. And so we would need to, we've discussed this at length in the committee, and we've agreed that doing the income survey would be a benefit to this whole project. And so there's a cost. We've talked to a variety of different organizations to do this. And we've settled with one particular consulting firm called E&G Municipal Consulting. We negotiated a better price than they originally wanted to charge us, because I don't think they were actually aware how few homes we actually have. I think I originally sent my request via email. They were looking for a 30% deposit. They're not even concerned about a deposit at this point. So with that said, before I ask, are there any questions on this?
So the question that I asked,
Yeah.
I'll just tell the board this, is that, is this survey necessary? Because the 12147 zip code is higher than normal, higher than median.
Yeah, all right. And that's a guideline set by
Whoever's, the state.
whatever agency that word, right,
The government.
right.
And will the grant accept just Hamlet people?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've been on the phone and had meetings with EFC, with EPA, with New York State Department of Health, with all of these organizations have their own grant funding specialists, and we've talked with all of them. Even the technical assistance that we've actually won their support for. We actually applied for a grant to get consultation, free consultation from people. And I think I lost my train right there.
Okay, so in other words, they will work with just Hamlet residents?
They will
Yes.
accept.
Just the 82 people who are part of the.
Because it does portray a more accurate picture of the, it's not like the entire town is on this water system. It's only a small subset of the population. So does that answer your question, John?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but a lot of people are seasonal. So basically, they're charging us $50 a household. Right, 80 times 50, about $4,000.
Yeah, so they're gonna have feet on the street and professional, actually, they use like retired military folks, dressed professionally. They'll have a, what do you call it,
Veg.
yeah, for lack of a better term, right? A lanyard, thank you, indicating on official business, that sort of thing. And it's not obligatory, so they have to work for their money. People do not have to respond to the survey. Now, we're also gonna follow up using email, and I wanna use regular postage as well for every household. I want them to be informed that the income survey is coming and the reason for it and why it's to their benefit to comply with the survey, but they're not required to. And they don't have to put up, their W-2s or anything like that. None of that stuff is required. They simply have to complete the survey. So, we hope to get, I think the requirement is we need to get 80% of the households to respond. There is the option that we try and do this ourselves, and we can try and do this with free support, but it's just unlikely that we'll ever get the work done the way it needs to get done.
But the grants, they're not gonna take our word, but they will take this specific company's report.
They would take our word too, but, it seems like it would come better from an organization, a third party,
That's right.
uninterested,
Neutral.
Right, exactly. They have no particular interest in it other than the fact that they're getting paid to do a job, rather than residents of the water district trying to do an income survey. That would probably be more questionable than actually coming from an organization that does this for a living.
So what would be approximately a median income that would qualify for water district for grants?
So I'm not an expert on this, but the way this works, like you collect all the incomes and it's like in the middle, or you drop the high and the low. It's not like that at all. You organize the survey, from high to low, and then based on the number of people that have responded, you actually look right at the middle and take that number as your median household income.
So what would that amount be, you know?
It's in the neighborhood of around 65,000. So, we might find out what we don't want to find out, or it will be the thing that can help us actually get grant money versus loan money. Or, at least some grant money to help us pay the cost of the upgrade of the system. Any other questions? What I would like to do then is ask for the town board to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign off on the contract.
I'll make a motion that the supervisor be authorized to sign the contract to evaluate the median income of the water district.
A second.
From G&G Municipal Consulting and Grant Writing.
Yes, from G&G Municipal Consulting and Grant Writing. Did it?
Randy seconded, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Last bit to cover, will not require any signatures or money, but because the water committee and its employees are gonna handle this task internally. And we've been mandated by the EPA, and this is all across the country, to do an inventory. I think I brought this up maybe last month, to do an inventory of all the service lines to confirm whether there is any lead in the lines leading all the way into the house. So this is a first effort by the EPA to start doing this. They're not really enforcing anything yet, other than the fact that they're setting us up to get to a point where they can enforce.
I'm sure there are lead lines.
Yeah, so we have to do an inventory. That's the requirement here, that we have to deliver by October 16th of this year. So they've given us a template, and we have to get all the addresses in there, and we have to go knock on some doors. We have the report from the engineering firm who did the distribution system in the 80s, and we have verifiable fact that the mains are not lead. There's no lead in the mains or the point at which it gets to the curb stop, but what we don't have any kind of verification on is the service line into the house.
Yeah, the lateral end.
Right.
And how are you gonna find that?
Well, there's three categories: lead, non-lead, or unknown. They've asked us to do the best that we can this first round. So I figure if we can at least do the water committee and anyone else that we know that's willing to help us out with the test. It's pretty easy to test the pipe to see if it's lead or not. You can take a coin and scratch it, and if you actually scar the pipe, and you can see like the bright silver.
A lot of that lead was underground.
Or it's magnetic, then it's the point at which it comes into the house that you want to test.
Right, so what, any basement, you just go down there and see what.
Right, we're actually even having to take a picture as confirmation of being in the house. But we can actually, some percentage of the inventory can be unknown for now, for this year, just so that we can get it done in time. And then next year and the following years, we'll be sent a report saying, well, you have X number of addresses that are still unknown, you must go and verify those. And eventually it gets to a point where they have to enforce it.
I would bring a file, not a coin.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying, they're gonna do it with a coin. If you want to
Scratch it with a
check.
screwdriver if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Like,
And that's my report. Thank you very much.
Jason.
Yeah.
Does he need a motion for payment of $1,800, or you just gonna wait?
I'm gonna call him.
Payment of the what?
the $1,800 for the cleaning.
No, we made a motion to,
We did.
we signed the contract.
They're gonna voucher, there's no company that's not gonna send an invoice to the town with a voucher. It's how we pay bills, is a voucher system.
And they know.
Yeah, they're gonna do it, I wouldn't worry.
So the motion was to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with GNC. And that was,
It's up to you.
I make a motion to sewer committee report.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
So $1,800 for the tank inspection.
Overtime here,
Payment of the tank.
well, I think Brian's right. I mean, and this is from CT Mal,
No, which?
the tank inspection?
No. No, this was a company that strictly does water tank inspections and cleaning.
Come submit an invoice.
Yeah, I just,
They're probably gonna
in my line of work,
Ed, they're not asking you for payment, right? They haven't said, Ed, where's our payment, right?
well, the work is just done, but they have completed their task.
I know, I'm just saying, and all the companies, all the people that I've done business with over my career in public service, they send the town an invoice. They'll either have a voucher or they'll,
I guarantee you'll see an invoice,
yeah.
I'm probably mistaken.
Oh, you're good.
and then we pay you.
Sure.
Yeah,
No, you pay the,
voucher.
And that's just gonna,
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Current events.
Vouchers.
we don't have this.
Moving on.
Yeah.
On the whole business. Awarding the highway materials, portalettes, mowing, and recycling bids.
We can just make one
I
motion
didn't
to
see
go
the
with the
numbers.
bids as marked in.
You don't have to do that.
I'll make a motion that we award the highway materials, the portalettes, the mowing, and the recycling refuse hauling according to the spreadsheets which are in front of us and available for public view.
I will second that. You know, Jason, the only thing I don't see in here
What's that? I don't see Calvin, I mean,
is the letter for the 11 hours instead of 10.
That's not in this document, that's separate. It's never been in this document before.
I thought we had to do highway materials.
Well, that was the highway materials you just
Yeah.
authorized.
Yeah, highway.
We haven't talked about the transfer station, we haven't talked, and the other thing is, the portalets in the parks, right? We haven't talked about any of that yet.
No, I just did all in one.
Yeah.
Made a
So-
motion for the highway materials, the mowing, and the portalette.
I don't see highway.
I didn't put the hauling bid on that sheet, if that's what you're asking me, it's not on that sheet. We have it in front of us, but it was, so they, last year, they bid it at 10 hours, and this year they bid it at 11 hours, a maximum of 11 hours. It is on there, no, I guess it is. Carolyn, go through it on there, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I just didn't highlight it,
Last line, hauling per week.
sorry, Carolyn.
Well, it's okay.
Okay,
I didn't know if you edited it.
Got it?
okay, so Brian, can you repeat that motion?
I make a motion that we award the bids for the highway materials, the portalets, the mowing, and the recycling refuse hauling according to the spreadsheets which we have that are also available for public view.
And I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
You don't have the,
I don't see the highway. Oh,
I must have
yes.
passed, I must have missed that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Local ward number 2.
You gotta call the roll for this one, don't forget.
This is to update the fee schedule, which we discussed earlier.
So what do we have to do, make?
I'll make a motion that, we adopt the foregoing resolution with the correction to the unsafe building line to read dangerous and unsafe building.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Now, you gotta call roll for this because it's over law.
Okay. So, John Dolce is an aye. Pete Somerville,
Aye.
Ed Van Orken,
Aye.
Randy Bates,
Aye.
Ryan Wood.
All right,
Okay, so that motion is carried, so we got our war number 2. The Q1 endowment fund grant applications.
Do we have a problem with that? I've read them, I mean,
So, so this is just a brief synopsis of what, of what, of what they want to do. You know, remember we said that we didn't want to give money, or we didn't think this is part of the guidelines, not to give money to companies that are coming to the town for funds. Like, for instance, the library. But this library is coming out with, they're raising expanded children's book collection and children's program at the Medusa Annex. To expand and enhance children's programming through material improvement in the main library children's room, $1,500.
Yeah.
So I don't have, after reading through all these, I don't have a problem with any of it.
yeah, I would just add to this, I don't think we ever said that if you come to the town for money, that would disqualify the fire departments, right? Because we come.
No, but we have. If you look here, it says Tri-Village,
Yeah.
request $1,000 for turnout gear or
Yeah.
Scott's Air.
No, you just said it was our intent to not award money to people that come to the town and took money from the town.
For, like, say the fire department, it's their budget to pay for the heat and, you know, the oil and the
Right.
upkeep of the trucks and stuff like that. We just ask the guidelines, the QVAR guidelines, like this says, you know, turnout gear or Scott Airpack. So it's a specific thing that they're asking.
Oh, I see. You just didn't want them to come and ask for $1,000 more money to just do business. You wanted it to be specific. Oh, okay. That I guess I understand.
You know, some of it, like,
So even the library, what do they need?
well, because they opened the annex, you know, at the public safety building, and they want to expand the children's program.
Does anybody go to this annex?
I mean, just to see what's going on.
I've been surprised how many cars are there on a Wednesday occasionally.
Bill?
I don't know whether it's when they have an event, but
Okay, so what do we gotta do with this?
So, let me just continue this. Some of it, I don't, like, this is the Rensselaerville Playground. Purchase a piece of playground equipment, request $1,000. You can't buy a swing for $1,000.
No.
So, even though, you know, I'm good with this, you know, I'm okay with this, but we're, if they don't give us a bill for, you know, a swing for $1,000, they're not gonna get the 1,000.
That's fine. So I have a question. If looks like we're headed down the track that we should be able to spend the interest.
So, yes,
So the interest is gonna be,
$23,008.
okay,
That's after we took say it was 25,000, we take 10% to leave it in the fund.
Okay.
And it comes out to $23,008.
This comes out to $18,465
Exactly, so that was,
to each of them and give them an award letter saying that you get, like, so say the fire department has $1,000, your award letter is for $1,250.
that's what I was hoping that, the committee members would have been here tonight so we could discuss that.
Yeah.
Because if they don't increase the awards, then that money's not gonna roll over to next year.
Right.
It's gonna stay in the fund.
It's a simple math equation to me. So if this totals what you wanted to give, then you take that, what's that percentage, just 18,000, what percentage of that is off of that 23, and then whatever that extra is, then you give that to each one. So if it's 12%, then, you get $120 if you're the $1,000 award recipient. If you're the $1,500 award recipient, you get $180 or something. I'm just
Right.
saying it's a simple solution to that.
So,
So that we stand by what we're saying of spending spending the interest, keeping the 10% and letting the principal keep making us money.
so there's a few other things that I wanna bring up. The Potter Hollow Cemetery Organization, they wanna buy tools. Rakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then, when they finish cleaning that, where do the rakes and shovels go? In George's backyard? So I have an issue.
You have a lot of free time apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna really nitpick over a rake, like at the end of the day, I would just keep in mind
It's
that
just an
we
example.
no, I know, but I'm saying like, do you wanna go that far into the weeds that you're gonna, like, if I tell you I'm gonna buy a Scott Air Pack, are you gonna bust my stones because I bought a used one and could save a few bucks and I bought two for that price versus new? I think
No.
you gotta have some faith that these folks ask for money, they know they're gonna need it.
I don't care if they bring the rake.
But if I
Yeah.
don't bring it
Suppose
up,
they bring it back to the cemetery when they need it.
Right, don't come back to us and say you need another garden rake next year, because we're gonna remember that you already got one.
I feel like I'm lacking in what I'm saying. You guys need to know. And if, I'm okay if George keeps it in the backyard. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay?
No, that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying, I don't know.
But I want you guys to look at this, because it is gonna raise some questions.
Who's gonna, like, who would question this? What's on here that they would question? These are all legitimate, not-for-profit, maybe not IRS not-for-profits, but they're all for the betterment. Who's Hales Mill Cats?
Exactly.
Okay, who's that?
So,
So I'll give you,
Do I write a check
what are they gonna buy?
for, exactly, that's my
I
point.
didn't read it. Sorry.
So they're gonna
What's the-
neuter cats at Animal Kind.
Yeah, well, have you
So
ever
the
had
check
to
will
go
go to
around?
Animal Kind.
Have you ever gone to a hoarding house where you had to gather up 40,000 cats?
This says 20
I'll
cats,
give
spayed
them
or
mine.
neutered, $25 per
That's good for them.
animal.
I think that's great.
So we're gonna be, the board's gonna be approving these.
Yeah.
Expenditures.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're gonna be making those payments. So
So
I,
that's my question.
all right, well, my point is, then for any payment, they have to submit an invoice or some documentation.
That's what I had told the committee. So this says Medusa Beautification Committee, $1,500. We can't make a check out to the Medusa Beautification.
Right, but we can
They
pay,
can buy the plants or whatever
and we,
and reimburse.
Yeah.
or we can pay the invoices that they submitted.
Right.
Up to a certain amount, right?
So if they go buy the plants, we can,
Invoice them whoever they want. Or,
this might not be that easy.
no, it should be fine. I mean, if you went and bought it for Main Street and you spent
Stories.
$1,350, you would vouch the town for $1,300, provide documentation. If you didn't want to do it, you could go to Stories and work out an agreement where they could voucher the town, and we would pay it, but we would just make sure that it doesn't exceed the $1,500 for the beautification.
So Rensselaer Cemetery, $1,000 to fill sunken graves and 500 for fence clean. We can make a check out to the Rensselaerville Cemetery.
Yeah.
Because it's an entity.
So how would we legally do it? So I'm assuming that unless Hales Mills Cats was a true, not-for-profit, can you legally write them a check?
Well, they're DBA, I mean, as a,
What I would do is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead.
What I would do is I would wait to see how the call goes next week
Okay.
with the Attorney General, and if we get approval for doing what we want to do, then we carry on, and if the approval's not forthcoming anytime soon, then we can,
Table it.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And you're having the franchise to have.
We're not promising people $1,500
How
to
you're
do their
approaching it.
cats and then we don't.
Because it's not a done deal yet, right?
That's right.
Right.
Oh, let's table till next month, next meeting.
Yeah.
But we can't promise people 1,500 and then
And
not come through it.
the committee came to me and asked me questions.
Yeah.
About the shovels and stuff like that. Okay, and, and who to make the check out to. I'm not gonna make it out to an individual.
Right.
It's gonna be paid.
Gotta be a
by
corporation or they gotta,
Have a DBA as
invoice.
some,
Or paid just by invoice. So I wanna make sure we're on the,
yeah, I think though, like the beautification committee, we can write it to an individual if they provided receipts, if they did the work. So say Eddie wants to go down and plant, willow trees all the way down Main Street of Medusa, and he does the work and brings you a receipt.
then we'll just reimburse them. 'cause
That's
he
what I'm
paid
saying.
for it.
Yeah, you don't want $1,000 to go buy trees and then have to worry about collecting. That makes perfect sense.
We also talked to them about increasing it to them, 23,800. $23,8008.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her,
Yeah.
because we're not,
Percentage,
She's worried about the garden rate we're out.
I don't wanna carry it over to the following year, because
No,
then it becomes.
I would just say that if you gave away, if this is 75% of that amount, then do the math to make it the
And give away the
100%.
whole
Yeah,
thing,
just get rid of
if
Yeah.
we can. Okay.
But then again, you don't know that we're gonna get invoices for the full. It most likely will come up short anyway.
Right, and then you could then add that to next year then and just make that.
No, but that's what I don't wanna do, because that's a bookkeeping nightmare. Why?
I think he's got nothing to do. We'll keep track of it.
so can you leave it in the fund?
Well, yeah, but then next year,
You don't have a choice. You can't,
Just leave it in the fund, let it gain interest.
you can't say we don't wanna pay unless you give invoices. And then your invoices come up short, and then you say you don't wanna have extra money, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, so either we gotta give them the money up front, say spend it the way you wanna spend it, or we have to tell them invoices, and if we have a little bit of money left over, then we just roll it to next year and give it away again, you can't do it both ways.
And you gotta do annual reporting, and the invoices are so critical.
oh, naturally.
You gotta do that, and if there's more money left over than what is allocated, just roll it over, put it back in the fund.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right, I agree with that, but what I'm saying, say the Rensselaerville Playground, they're asking for $1,000. I don't know what they're gonna buy for $1,000. And they're not gonna be able, if they don't buy anything, that $1,000 belongs to them for next year. Is that what you're
No.
saying?
I'm saying then it goes back in the fund, and now there's $1,000 more next year when we look at the interest to give away.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying,
No.
that's what I meant by bookkeeping nightmare.
Oh, no, you have till December 31st to spend it, or it's back.
Or
the
it's
budget.
back in the fund,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's,
Otherwise,
that's what I wanted.
you'll be chasing people all over. I can just see it now, like you come back and it's like you get $1,000 and the invoice is for $960, and you got $40 to spend, you gotta spend this. I'm like,
All right, so I'm good.
I got it.
That's
I think that's 100%.
do the bookkeeping for all this.
Good.
Okay,
We beat up the unsafe danger.
Well, I think we did.
Skip over
Ad
that.
infinitum.
all right. So we're gonna cross that out and go with new business. The annual review of the town justice books.
How is it, Carolyn?
Hmm?
Was it good?
I didn't even read the report. I just provided all the information. No. I don't even have the reports. Mhm. I think.
This is an annual review. I don't see annual totals.
I don't think it's in accounting. It's just a review of the records.
Yeah, to make sure that they're in order.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with money. This is to making sure that the things that they're supposed to have done have been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's 2 no's, and those are good no's.
What's the rest?
3 no's, 1 on the back, and so on.
All procedures completed, no problems noted.
They are good numbers.
I'll move we accept the annual review of town justice books.
I'll second that.
Now we have to sign this.
We,
All in favor, aye.
we have to sign it, or?
Yeah, I know. All the members of the town board, on the bottom of, on the first page.
Okay. Who's got that?
I got the copy that I'd like to get signed.
Okay, hand it around there, boss.
Okay.
Point you to be in charge of the mix. You know what, I'll make sure they don't think of home regulation.
That's what that is.
Could you give us the water tank photos in the future in color, high definition, black and white, just as hard?
I could print them, call them.
Yeah.
They did
If
come
you
through.
take 5 seconds, I'm being serious.
Want to see what color the road is?
It was efficient, not to print them. Cost saving.
All right, any audience comments, please?
No, or no, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good meeting, John. Now you owe us overtime.
John, may I have a comment?